So, people's perception of normal has changed. The average woman in America weighs 160 pounds. The average male weighs 180 pounds. Of course, I'm saying like for the average height woman, 130 is the upper limit of normal, but obviously below 120 is more lifespan favorable. The average 5'10" male, 180, 165 is probably the upper limit of normal, but of course below 160 is probably even more favorable. And people might be thinking, well, what about a person who's more muscular, bigger, and it's not fat, it's just muscle? And the answer is, in most cases, excessively largeness due to muscle and excess bone is also lifespan shortening, because people had to overeat and eat excessive amount of animal products or eat to be able to get that large. In other words, the shortest lifespans in North America, the occupations with the shortest lifespan, are linebackers on football teams who are overly muscled. They may have extra fat too, but these overly muscled males, these big power lifters, these big strong guys with little pot bellies and big muscles, even though that extra muscle weight also puts stress on their heart and the cell and ages their cells prematurely, and they're chronically overeating, which keeps their metabolism revved up, and they're trying to maximize performance with being as large as they possibly can, is not maximizing longevity. It's actually shortening their lifespan. To review there at the bottom, I have favorable body weight for a woman who's a BMI below 21, and for a male is below 22 ideally, and a favorable body fat for a woman's below 25% and below 15% for a male. And even that's a little bit permissive. I mean, I'm 67 years old and my body fat's 11%. So I think that even probably below 13 or 14 is probably better for a male, but I'm accepting a little extra, acceptability there, especially for women, because they naturally have more fat than males do. Now, of course, we're looking at this from infection, and obese and being overweight is the biggest risk factor for early death from pneumonia, flu, and other infections, including COVID. So even a few extra pounds, just having when you should weigh 120 pounds and you weigh 125, even that's associated with increased premature death from infection. So we're saying here that we have a dangerous worldwide epidemic, not of infection and COVID and cancer and heart disease, but a dangerous epidemic of the malnourished overweight. Means they eat extra calories, and to gain those extra fat on the body, they're eating low nutrient calories, not high nutrient calories, and the fat then contributes to that malnourished state. Let me explain 1 minute about that. I'm saying that fat cells sequester nutrients. In other words, if I took a glass of carrot juice and I poured it into a quart of water and shook it up, you could see there's still a lot of carrot in there. It's an orange quart of water with carrot juice in it. But if you're saying that same cup of carrot juice, and I pour it into a gallon of water, not a quart, but a whole gallon, and shake it up, it's going to be diluted, so you're not going to see the water is orange. In other words, the nutrient density is diluted by the extra body weight. But what I'm saying here is that fat cells sequester nutrients over and above the amount of space and weight they occupy in the body, especially fat-soluble nutrients. So we suck nutrients into the fat cells away from the cells and the brain and the other areas we need them to prevent us from, to keep ourselves aging slower. So we have so being overweight makes you malnourished and increases your nutrient needs of the body. I always say to people in the big audiences, I say, raise your hand. If somebody's been shot by a bullet, your friends, your family, your neighbors been shot by a bullet, raise your hand. Like one person out of the 700 people raises their hand. I said, raise your hand if you've been stabbed by a knife in your neck or your chest, or, and nobody raises their hand. I said, well, how many people here has a family member or a friend or a neighbor who's got cancer or a heart attack or a stroke? And like practically everybody raises their hand. I'm saying, this is crazy. How could you live in such a dangerous neighborhood? How do you stay living in that neighborhood? How do you live like other Americans live? How do you stay eating the foods other Americans stay? You got to get out of that neighborhood. You got to change things, because we know the danger that's invaded our neighborhood. with fast food restaurants and donuts and fried foods and French fries and burgers. We know that we've been eating ourselves to death. In the light of the fact that nutritional science has made such radical advances where people can live longer, our population has moved in the opposite direction. So let me just discuss this metabolism and aging for a minute to make sure you understand that if my body needs, let's say, are 1,500 calories a day, and I eat 1,700 calories a day, an extra 200 calories, my body will not turn those extra 200 calories all into body fat, because it's like 3,500 calories a pound. So 350 days a year approximately. So every 100 calories of excess a day should turn into 10 pounds a year of extra body weight. So if I eat 200 calories extra over and above my basal metabolic needs, that should result in a 20-pound weight gain that year. But it doesn't, because my body resists weight gain as much as it can. It's struggling not to turn all those calories into fat. So what the body will do is it'll rev up its metabolic rate. It'll raise its body temperature. It'll raise the respiratory quotient, the amount of calories burned through breathing. It'll increase its thyroid function. My body will set into motion a series of biological events that'll try to burn off those calories, so I'll only gain 10 pounds, not 20 pounds. My body's fighting for your behalf. But it's a pact with the devil, because increasing your metabolic rate from the extra calories you're consuming is speeding the rate at which you're aging, and aging your telomeres and your stem cells, and usurping and utilizing your natural lifespan and forces prematurely. What I'm saying right now is that when we overshoot calories, we don't just gain weight, we increase our metabolism and increase the rate via which we age. Don't forget, in the bottom half of normal, if you look at the normal level of thyroid function, in the bottom half of normal, you have the longest lifespan, less irregular heartbeats, sudden cardiac death, less heart attacks, half the heart attacks as people in the upper half of normal. Keep in mind, when people have hypothyroidism, they're taking medications for their thyroid. Don't overtake it to maximally suppress your TSH. Keep your TSH between 2 and 4. Don't push it down low so you can try to lose weight with thyroid medication. Don't take thyroid medication as a means of thinking it's going to help you lose weight or lower your cholesterol like the anti-aging community gives you, because you're going to be pushing your metabolism and aging faster. We want to age slower, not faster. When we cut back on calories, when we undershoot our calories by a little bit each day, and we go to bed a little touch hungrier many nights, we just overshoot our calories to keep ourselves nice and slim. And when I undershoot calories by 100 calories a night, I'm not going to 100 calories a day on the average. I'm not going to then lose 10 pounds. My body will become very resistant to losing weight. I exercise regularly, and so my body knows I'm utilizing muscles, so it wants to keep those muscles, and it has a certain metabolic set point, which it prefers to live at. And if you exercise regularly and live at that favorable metabolic set point, as you undershoot calories a little bit, you won't keep losing weight. Your body will resist the weight loss by lowering your thyroid function, by lowering your body temperature. Sure, you'll be colder in the winter. Your hands and feet may be colder. You'll be more comfortable in the hot weather. You lose less calories through breathing. You'll lower. In other words, your body sets into motion a series of biological events that slows the rate at which you age. And what I'm saying here, that's the secret to living to be 100 years old, is keeping slim but muscular and strong as we undershoot calories just by a hair.